Hey guys, so it's been a little while since I've done a video, and in my last video I kind of walked through one of my bag dumps for a hiking pack that I have, and you can go take a look at my past videos if you want to see that one again. But I did a bag dump on that, and kind of went through some of the things that I carry, but that's not my only bag. I have, bag acquisition addiction, and lately I picked up an Alps Pathfinder. That's this pack right here. And I thought I'd do another bag dump, just kind of walking through what I carried for this. The reason I got this pack, this is a lumbar pack. I've been doing a lot of scouting, some grouse hunting, kind of pre-deer season, just kind of getting out in the hills where it's actually still been pretty warm, and I haven't needed quite as much safety gear, but also moving faster, farther has been a really big advantage. And with my other pack, it's really designed for getting out there and being out for a day, but being able to be out for another day or two if you run into a problem. That's good for hunting season, for like big game hunting season, where you never know, you might get stuck out somewhere and just feel like you can't make it back, you want to spike out, and maybe you haven't packed an awful lot. So I have some gear like tarps and things that make a lot of sense for that. But when you're going grouse hunting, oftentimes I'm going out there at 9 in the morning hoping they're down on the ground by then, and coming back around noon hoping they're feeding. It's really not necessarily an all-day event, and also as I've been scouting, it's been a lot warmer. And so, having a big heavy pack on your back that's taking your whole pack, you're just sweating and you're really working. So it's not that I mind the work, but coming back all sweaty and gross doesn't make your wife love you anymore. So what this does is it really just opens up the back panel here. You can see this piece of the pack doesn't sit on your back, it sits on your butt. You can look up online what these things look like if you really want a product overview. What I thought I'd do is more of a review and bag dump. I like the product, I don't love the product. It's got a couple of flaws, and this is something you won't see in any other video, so I thought I'd go through that here. So first of all, just kind of walking through what I have in here. This has got a couple of sections to it. There's an inner section, kind of a pouch bit in the middle, and then kind of an outer pouch. And you have to be a little careful how you load this, because if you put a lot of weight in the outer pouch here, it really wants to sag down on your rear. So when you do something, you kind of want your lighter stuff in the backmost compartment. So in this back compartment, what I tend to keep in here is my lunch. And lately for a lot of scouting trips, when I'm only out for 3 or 4 hours, and I just want something kind of light, not bringing an MRE if I'm only out for 4 or 5 hours. So typically what I'll do is I'll do a granola, something like the Udis. I really like their brand. And it's got banana chips and stuff like that, and I really like that for energy. And then I'll add it, I'll doctor it. So I like to have, some dried fruit, and they tend to, just have kind of a base product. So I'll dump a ton of raisins or craisins, or dried cherries or something like that. Sometimes a mix of all three in here. You can see I ate about half of it last time. This is a ton of calories. You can fit like 6 or 7 servings in a nice Ziploc baggie, and all you need is a spoon. You don't really need any milk or anything. Especially if you have a lot of raisins, and you can get 1,000 calories in a baggie pretty easily. So that works out really well for me for lunch. And then for snacks, I also tend to bring some fruity snack bars. Just kind of whatever's on the shelf, whatever happens to be on sale, whatever I got from apparently the last airline trip that I took and didn't eat. Just some miscellaneous carbs. I'm a carb hound, and that's what I like to eat. I also carry, I know this is going to seem a little silly, but I like to carry Mio. I don't drink coffee, never been a coffee drinker, but I do like caffeine. This is a sugar-free product, so I'm not spiking my blood sugar, and I can just mix this right into my water bottle. And I'll show you in a minute, I carry multiple water bottles so that there's no bladder in here. I'm not carrying a hydration pouch, so I'm not really contaminating it when I add something like this to it. And it just gives you a little sweetness, even if it's artificial, and definitely gives you the caffeine. And I just find I can go a little harder, a little faster. Also in the back here, this is going to seem a little silly, but this is my Creature Comfort back. Oh, by the way, I do actually have a titanium spoon, but for this pack I tend to carry a plastic one. And the simple reason is this is actually half the weight of the titanium one. So it's pretty durable, and I'm not out long enough where I'm worried about it breaking. Seems like a silly thing, but it only weighs a couple ounces. This is one of those inflatable butt pads. And, I don't mind sitting on a lot. That's not what this is for. This is for glassing. If I'm out there and I get into a situation where I think I might have seen some movement, maybe across a field or something, and I want to park it for a bit, you you sit longer when you're a little more comfortable. And it doesn't take a lot to make you more comfortable. You know, this isn't like I'm carrying a chair around with me, but just a little bit of a pad, particularly if it does get cold and you're on a rock. A rock can suck the heat right out of you, and if it does happen to be a colder day, something like this just gives you a little more staying power. Maybe you sit there for half an hour instead of for 3 minutes. Maybe you sit there for an hour or 2 hours instead of for 20 minutes. So just buy you a little more time. This pack comes with a couple of extra straps. These straps plug in up on the top here. There are some harness strap points that go way up here. This is actually what it looks like when it's mounted up. So I don't have it hung very well here because it's just the way it's made. But these go here and then end up tying some of the bits in this compartment here. You can look those up online what they do. And last but not least, you never know, in case I take that trophy buck, I carry measuring tape. Just a little fabric measuring tape. So one of the things I don't like about this pack is that it's got a water bottle, it's got a pouch on either side, one utility pouch over here with a nice clasp. This is pretty decent. But then it's got a water bottle pouch over here. You can see the problem, there's kind of a design flaw in that this is a compression panel. It's meant to be pulled in. And it does that with a strap on either side. The problem is that the strap runs right across the water bottle compartment, which it doesn't need. It doesn't need that to hold it in there. But if you reach around, remember this is behind you. It's way back here. And if you reach around and pull that water bottle out, getting it back in is a real pain because that strap is right in the way. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do with this yet. I've thought that maybe at some point I could try to work out some type of attachment point up here. I don't really know. But so far this has been one of my least favorite parts of this pack is the way the water bottle sits down in there. It is a good sized compartment, like if you want to get a nice big Nalgene bottle in there you can do it. But it just seems like it wasn't really thought out with where they ran these side straps. You know, and the same is true over here on this utility pouch, which is where I keep my battery charger. I do hike with the GPS. I know some people laugh at that. I also have a backup compass if I need it, but I really like having the GPS handy. I've got my Onyx maps. I'm not trespassing on somebody's property. It's a big thing in Colorado here. There's a lot of little patchwork of private and public land. Got to make sure you stay on the right side of that. And also I like to take photos. I keep track of my trip. So I know where I'm finding bedding areas and wallows and things along those lines, and I'm recording that. So when I'm on my scouting trips, I really like to have this here so I don't run out of juice. And honestly, my phone plus this thing are lighter than a typical Garmin anyway, so it's a good combo for me. But the problem is I can't reach in here. This strap runs right across it, so that's been a challenge in terms of like being able to get in there. This pack also has some side pouches, which I'll pull out here. They're kind of on the belt, pretty common design. This is a third thing I don't particularly love. Well, a lot of times if I'm not like actually grouse hunting, if I'm just scouting, I'll field carry. I carry a Glock. It's a pretty big sidearm, and there's just really nowhere for it to fit here. On my other pack, I had a pretty sizable gap between the back of the belt and where my front pouch was. You can see a previous video if you want to see that. With this is just kind of in the way. There's nowhere I can hip carry. And when I'm scouting, I'll show you in a minute, I tend to carry binocular harness on my chest, so I'm not wanting to chest carry. I don't love thigh carry. I've done that before. It's just too big. It flops around and kind of hangs out here. It kind of annoys me. I just don't love it. So this has been a challenge I haven't quite figured out what to do with. If I redid this pack myself, aside from moving this strap, I would just delete these. I think that there's so many accessory pouches out there. If you put a MOLLE panel on this, people are going to set this up whichever way they want. If they want a holster, they can have a holster. If they want a pouch, they can have a pouch. They can have whatever they want. And in addition, these pouches themselves aren't really well designed. I mean, there's no organization in here. It's just a great big cavern. So anything you put in here becomes a jumble. It's very easy to drop stuff on the ground. I've done it. So it's just, it hasn't been my favorite. But in any event, I mean, it's not horrible. It's just not ideal. So chapstick, absolutely a must. This is scent-free chapstick with some sunblock. We're in Colorado, high altitude. Your lips can sunburn. I carry a couple of lens wipes, and I can use these for cleaning my hands or whatever else I might need. Just a couple of those. They weigh nothing. I always carry a Band-Aid handy. I actually have another one here on the floor that I dropped earlier that's meant to go in here. I carry 2 Band-Aids. I hurt myself a lot. Nice Swiss Army knife. It's got every function I need. It's got the can opener, the bottle opener, a couple of knife blades, tweezers, toothpick. Basically everything I need. I think it's gross using those toothpicks, so I carry a regular toothpick. after you eat lunch, your breath will smell and the deer will smell that. And so try to keep your teeth clean. And then just some earplugs in case I do any shooting. I've got them handy. I cheat a lot of times. Sometimes I don't get them in. If you flush a grouse, you're shooting the grouse. You're not going to wait and put your ears in. But if you have time to set up for it, if the grouse are on the ground, you haven't flushed them yet, then I definitely reach for it. This other side pouch, I don't have too much in here, mostly because there's no way to organize it, but just a quick cow call and windicator. So I like to have those handy, use them all the time. And then finally, I've added this. This is not part of the pack. This is part of a turkey pack that I bought from Cabela's a few years ago. Never used the turkey pack, but it was a nice pouch. And I've been keeping, just kind of one of those elastic neck covers, camo. You can use this as a bandana, you can cover your head, you can cover your hair, you can cover your neck, whatever you want. And if I'm carrying extra shells, I tend to have them in here. Actually, that's a big one. But yeah, so this is just a number 4 bird load. That was what I've been using. Lower pellet count, I've never needed a number 6 to take a grouse. They just honestly aren't that far away. And if you're going for a headshot, you don't want 5,000 pellets flying all over the place. You'll be picking BBs out of your teeth. So I've been using a number 4 load, and that's actually been working pretty well for me. I've got an improved cylinder choke in my gun, and I've been having pretty good success with that. Okay, so that's the side pouches. Last bit is this main compartment. You have to be careful which zipper you pull, because the top one is for a fold-out pack that comes up here. So you don't want to open that one. That's the wrong zipper. You've got to reach underneath and pull this zipper. Then I got a few things in here right away that actually don't ride in the pack. This is just for storage, so it's a grab and go. I can hop in the truck and get out in the morning. I've got my orange, obviously, and I have 2 kinds of cover, fleece and just a regular baseball cap. So, got to have that. It's the law. It's also a good idea. If you have to go, you got to go. You want to be clean when you're done. Those are the biodegradable ones. It doesn't say that on the pack, but I reload these packs. So we buy the big ones from Walmart, then I buy those nice biodegradable ones out of off Amazon and stuff them in there. The pouch they come in doesn't seem to stay sealed real well. It just stays better in there. I got about 40 feet of paracord. It was 50, but I hack off bits of it all the time. I use it for hanging game off my back, for tying things up, for doing whatever. Always have some paracord. This is a little on the heavy side, actually. So lately, I've been experimenting. In here, I also have some bank line. I'll show you in a minute. I know a lot of people don't carry these, but I swear by them. I carry zip ties everywhere I go. You can fix stuff. You can tie stuff off. You can do a ton of things with them. They're super useful. They're super lightweight, and they cost nothing. They're like a penny a piece if you buy them in bulk at Harbor Freight. I like being able to load different quantities of water, so depending on how long I'm going out, I'll carry extra water, either to refill or replace this, or just to drink at lunch. You can see, these water bottles are super easy to get in different sizes. So here I've got a liter, here I've got 3/4 of a liter, this is half a liter, and I can mix and match depending on how much water I need. I tend to know myself pretty well. I know about how hard I'm going to be working and how long I'm going to be out in the field. So I'll carry different amounts of water depending on how long I'm going to be out. If I'm out for 3 hours, about 1.25 liters, 1.5 liters is usually plenty for me. So that's what I've got in here right now for this weekend. Got just an old-timer skinning knife. This is nothing special. I think it was $9 at Cabela's, but it is sharp as hell. And I keep it that way. I don't use it for anything else. That's what my pocket knife is for. And so this is really just for, if you've got some game and you're skinning it, it's the one time you use it, and then you sharpen it when you're done. I have the outdoor edge knife, the nice kit that comes with the bone saw, and I'll carry that in deer season. It's a little on the heavy side. So, if I'm really trying to move fast, this thing weighs half what this does, actually less than half what this does. And so I tend to carry this one, wherever I go. I've got some of those Fresh Earth scent discs, Hunter Specialties, the cover scent wafers. I'll tell you, they smell like hell. So I assume they're doing something. I really have never done anything scientific, but I walk up on game all the time. I'm always bumping does out in the field. So I assume they must be at least not hurting. So I do carry them. Again, they don't weigh anything. I got a little bit of cover. I don't carry a raincoat in my this is my lightweight pack. This is just one of those cheap throwaway ponchos, and I'm a Yankee, so I don't throw anything away. And I've just got it tied up here. I reuse it over and over. Works great. It's nice and orange, safety orange. Nobody's shooting me if it's dark and somebody's upset. I always carry a spare pair of socks. Your feet gets wet, that's a bad day. You get tired, in the middle of the day, you know, you need a little pick-me-up, stop, have a candy bar, change your socks, and you'll be back at the car before you know it. It's a nice thing to do. I have, this is meant to go in my front pouch here, little lens wipe that just kind of goes hand in hand with my other ones. And then always a backup source of light. My cell phone can be a source of light. I've got another little flashlight that I kind of carry in my pocket, just everyday carry type thing. And then this is just one of those coast headlamps. You know, it's got the red mode and the white mode. So I have that if I need it. And then last pouch here, I have kind of like my sort of emergency or safety gear or extra gear kind of compartment. So it's kind of ironic in Colorado to carry another source of fire because it's illegal to start one, and in some of the areas I'm going, there are fire bans. We've got a drought in this state, but you know, safety factor. So this is one of the ones that has the ferro rod and the magnesium on the back. So you've got flint and tinder in one. You scrape the magnesium into a pile and it burns, you know, pretty white hot. So that's kind of helpful to have. I got an extra lens cleaning wipe, not because I need two, but because I've actually been meaning to give this to a friend that I hike a lot with, and I keep forgetting. So it's in my pack. Got a Sharpie here with some electrical tape wrapped around it. Nice to have both. I've got an emergency Mylar blanket, foil blanket here, rescue, you know, keep your temperature up if you get stuck. I've got a USB card reader in case I'm hitting one of my trail cams, so I have that handy. Doesn't weigh anything. This is that bank line. I've been watching a bunch of Corporal's Corner videos lately and kind of sold me on the use of bank line. It's got a lower breaking strength, but 90% of the time you're using 550 paracord, you're never going to put 500 pounds of anything on that paracord. So this bank line gives me an extra 30 feet in a pretty small bundle, and it's kind of nice to have. And one extra zip tie, because why not wrap it around something, right? I've got a Siloom light stick. This is my third source of light, and it's extremely lightweight. This is one of the 8-hour ones, the bright white ones, and you know, if you just need to get out, that's going to last for 8 hours. It can't run out of batteries because it's chemical. And then just a utility pen. So this is one of those silly little like gift yourself kind of bought my own little Christmas gift thing. I almost never use it. In fact, I really never used it, but it's here if I want it. It's one of the ones that's got the pen, but you know, it's got the touchscreen stylus, and if you unscrew it, it has a little jeweler screwdriver pair, flathead and Phillips. They are smaller than the one on my Swiss Army knife, so if I ever had to mess around with my rifle scope or something, I could do that. And then I just carry that. It doesn't really weigh anything. It's kind of fun to have, you know, to mess around with at camp. So that's what I use the pack for. I have generally liked it. I'd say it's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Let's put it this way. I haven't found another one I liked better. So as a lumbar pack, this has worked fairly well for me. I just wish they had made some smarter decisions about the side pockets, the side straps, and some of the things along those lines. So just before I wrap this video, there's one other product that happens to be from the same company, so I figured I may as well give my thoughts on it. This is a Bino harness from Alps Outdoors. It's made by the same people. They don't seem to make a camo version of it, which is kind of surprising. I wish it matched, but in any case, it's a nice olive drab. People have complained about this clasp. You know, it's got like a weird, you pull this to tighten that kind of loop here, and then this pulls out and it never seems to come back straight. And I don't know, I fussed with it, but it's not terrible. One thing I really do like about it is that it has quick detach attachment points on the harness here for your binos. So if you have to, you can just drop them. But if I'm out with my kids, and I do hike with my kids a lot, and they're like, hey, I want to see, I don't have to take the whole bino harness off or unhook the straps. I just unclip this, hand them the binoculars, and then I can take them back and clip them right back on when I've got it. It is plenty big. You know, if you had to, you could put some stuff in the bottom. It's got a little pocket up front here, which in my opinion is actually kind of useless. Although it has this kind of like, if you almost have to pull the binoculars out to get stuff out, which is why I think it's a little useless. But it does have a lens cleaning cloth, a pretty good sized one, on a little lanyard here, kind of sewn into it, so you can never lose it, you can never drop it, and that's actually a pretty well thought out feature. Problem is, you wouldn't really put anything else in the pocket because it's fairly flat. And when you have your binoculars in here, particularly if they're roof prism and you've got the zoom, it's kind of bulging out just a tiny bit, and there's just not depth. You can't, like, you're not putting windicator in here. It does have a side pouch. When I first bought this, I looked at the photos and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty decent. I could probably put my windicator in there. But the side pouch, I mean, look at my finger here. The windicator, if I have it floating around here on the floor, I think I just dropped it earlier. Oh, I still have it in my pouch. is easily twice the size of this pouch. There's no way it's going in that hole. I mean, it just can't fit because it looks like the pouch is wide, but the pouch actually only runs from here to here. It doesn't go the full depth. This little elastic here is for the binocular section, not for the pouch. So you can't get your windicator in there. And even if you could, it'd be impossible to get back out. So I have no idea what I'm going to use that pocket for. Doesn't seem that useful. And then it does have like some kind of clip areas over here on the side. You can see you can put your fingers through this way or through that way, and maybe put an accessory pouch on it. I don't know what accessory pouch would fit something like that, but at least it's nice to know it's sewn on there, so you do have that feature. And then you just close this by hooking this down here and tugging that. So it's, look, I didn't even get it right. I have to tug it, I guess, a little harder than I did. But it does work fairly well. It's pretty comfortable to wear. I have a different harness, which I thought I had floating around on the floor here, but with an elastic suspension in it that I think is a little bit more comfortable than these fixed rigs. But honestly, I haven't really had any problem with it. So it's been okay. It's been decent. And for the money that I spent on it, they're pretty cheap on Amazon. They're a good combination. I've been able to do twice the mileage, coming back with about the same energy level with the car in about the same amount of time. So I mean, it's a really significant difference. You drop like 8 to 12 pounds out of your day pack, and it really matters. And it's not a complaint having a heavy pack. It's just if it's going to slow you down, you're not out there with the game. Your pack is dragging you back. So in any case, that's my load. Thanks for watching, and hit me up in the comments section if you have any questions.